Great news from Rocket Mortgage. You could unlock more cash than you realize from your home's equity with a cash-out refinance today. In fact, in the last year, average home values have gone up nearly 20%. That means you could unlock thousands of dollars. And with Rocket Mortgage, you could unlock all that cash in less than 3 weeks. But you've got to act right now before rates go up, because nobody knows how long these low rates will last. Put your hard-earned money to work. Make your life better. Build a home office. Remodel your kitchen. Or simply save that cash for a rainy day. Today's rate on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.25%, 3.48% APR, so you can lock in a great low monthly payment. When you're looking to unlock the cash in your home, Rocket can. Call 833-8ROCKET today or go to rocketmortgage.com to get started. That's 833-8ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com. Rocket.
Rates current as of 12/12/21. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. Call 800-490-1233 for disclosures and cost information.
So, Kelsey, I know you were rushing in this morning, but did you happen to look at the price at the pump when you were driving by? Did you happen to see any?
I think I drove by Mapco, and it was like $3.94.
Yeah, I saw Mapco for like $3.95. That was one of the best prices I had seen.
So the best price I've seen is actually either Sam's Club.
Well, yeah.
Of course. And then...
that's where I go now.
Yeah. Walmart's usually like, even times in today, it's been like 10 cents cheaper than Mapco.
Yeah, if you go to there's a Walmart off near Bob Wallace, like right off of Bob Wallace, has a gas station. And Bob Wallace and Jordan Lane, I believe, and that one's always cheaper too. Just, some advice for people. I've seen $4.29 in some places, which is crazy.
I usually go to the Walmart on Walter Anna at Harvest.
Yeah,
Harvest Monrovia. It's always a lot cheaper.
So, everyone's paying attention to this. It's easy to blame Biden for this because he is to blame for a lot of it. Some people are blaming Kay Ivey in the Republican legislature, though, because of the gas tax, meaning it would be even cheaper if it weren't for that gas tax. One person who is bringing that up, gubernatorial candidate Tim James. He said it in an ad, put out an ad about it recently. He is joining me on the phone right now. Tim, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Good morning, Michael. Good to be on your show.
So, you've been hitting Governor Kay Ivey hard on this. If you were governor today, would you get rid of the gas tax, at least temporarily?
Yeah, I think it's not just the gas tax, because the gas tax was a dime that they put on it. The total gas tax, state gas tax, is between 30 and 40 cents a gallon, and I think it may be time to pull it off in total for a period of time, just to see how things go, because it is just eating people's lunch, and it has gotten serious. We bought gas yesterday north of Birmingham at $3.99 a gallon. The ad, Michael, that we've been talking about was legislation that Governor Ivey signed in 2019. And what it specifically is talking about is an escalation clause in that legislation. And basically what that legislation did, it put on 10 cents additional gas tax that was staggered in over 3 or 4 years. But the worst part, it put a provision that gas tax would continue rising tied to an index. So in other words, the tax will go up forever and ever. And I'm 60 years old, and I had never heard of a gas tax that has an escalator clause forever and ever. That was my first. What they should have done when they did the legislation, gas was about $1.80, pretty cheap, and they just should have put a trigger in there that if gas hit a certain point, that 10 cents would come off. I mean, I'm not one of these guys that say you have to fix your roads, bridges, all this stuff is expensive. But they should have put a trigger at about $2.50 or $2.60 that if gas got above that extra tax would go off, and if it goes back down under $2, it's fine. Because a 10 cents on $1.80 is not going to kill you, but 10 cents on top of $3.90, $4 is very painful, and that money should go into a separate fund solely for the purpose of building roads and bridges and maintaining them, and not to build bureaucracy inside of the Department of Transportation.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense. I mean, would you be open to the idea then where if either of those funds gets more money than expected, then we could have a decrease in the gas tax? I know some states are doing that when it comes to the state income tax, where it would automatically go down if they got more money than projected.
Well, of course you would. And, I was just looking at the news this morning. So the education budget this year is at a record all-time high, over $8 billion, which is tremendous growth in the ETF, the Education Trust Fund. And, I'm standing back thinking about it, that this incredible amount of money has dropped into our education system, and yet we're at the bottom of the pack, K through 12 in the United States. And to put that in context, you've had this massive growth over the last decade plus, and we've dropped from, for example, in 2009 we were 39th in reading. Now we're at the bottom of the pack. So what that proves, one thing for sure, is there's no correlation between money and education. And these are the things that we've lost our way, and the structures in Montgomery are controlling the executive branch and controlling the legislature. And their interest is to survive and to do well themselves, but their interest in education is not to make sure that first and second, third graders are reading at the grade level, because that takes resistance and that takes work, and it's nothing easy. Easy does not work. And we're not, I'm not selling easy. I'm telling you, it's going to be hard to turn this thing around, but it's worth the price.
So, and it sounds like from everything you've said before and today, one of the problems is leadership at the top, that we could maybe get some more of this stuff done, but the current Republican governor is just not being a leader on it.
Well, you're right. And so, 87 cents on every tax dollar goes into public education, and we're failing miserably. And yet somehow the governor found time and energy to pass medical marijuana legislation last year, which has nothing to do with medicine. There was already 4 marijuana drugs on the market that your doctor could prescribe, and you go to CVS. And now this year is gambling. Now they're bringing back the gambling provision. They want 9 casinos plus a lottery, but it's important to note that they have tied the lottery to the casinos. So it's not pick one or the other. And most people are against 9 casinos in Alabama. More people are okay with the lottery. I'm against it all. But they tie them together, and they're trying to trick. It's a bait and switch, so people might vote for the lottery, but you're going to wind up with 9 casinos in Alabama. And I'll tell you, Michael, they've added a new twist this year. You got to give it to these boys in the legislature. They're always thinking. Now they put a provision that anybody can gamble in Alabama on their smartphone through one of the gambling houses, so they can be some 16-year-old or 17-year-old can be sitting in the living room at night with their iPhone, their smartphone, gambling, betting on horses and football games and everything else right here in Alabama. And the entire house is run through these gambling casinos that they want to litter our towns and our cities with.
So you had just said there, though, that you're against it all. So you're against, even if there was a standalone lottery bill, you would be against that as well?
Well, I'm against gambling of all sorts, and here's why. The lowest 1/3 of our population put 50% of the money into all forms of gaming. And the intellectual dishonesty is staggering. If the gambling crowd would be honest and they would just state the truth, that look, they could, they'll talk about it as an economic driver. They will tell you that they're going to put the money towards education or good causes. But what they don't tell you is that it's a net loss. In other words, the social cost is greater than the economic benefit. And this is not hyperbole. This industry has been studied probably as much as any industry in this country. So the truth is, gambling is gambling. It's not going to fix anything. and it causes more problems than not. And they're nothing but greedy individuals, and it's all about the money. They want to show me the money. That's their thing. And they try and put up this charade of all the good things it's going to do. And if they were just honest, and they would say, look, we could care less about people. We could care less about the most vulnerable in our society. We just want to take their money and get rich. So, gaming does not even come to the governor's desk. It's a constitutional amendment. So if the legislature passes it, it doesn't come to a governor. A governor does not veto or sign constitutional amendments. It goes straight to the ballot, and the people would have a right to vote. But as a candidate and as a governor, I would certainly go before the people of this state and lay out all the reasons that I think is bad public policy for the people of Alabama. It is not a panacea. It is not going to fix anything. It is going to cause more problems down the road than the benefits, and that's the truth.
Okay, I'm speaking with gubernatorial candidate Tim James, and I do want to ask you about another thing. You were talking about priorities from the governor's desk and how she could find time to pass, medical marijuana or something like that. It is interesting that, the legislature, the governor, they're looking at increasing the education budget for public schools, which I'm not necessarily against that, but why can't we do that and also increase money for school choice? I mean, it just seems like they're fine with protecting their public school monopoly, but when it comes to school choice, no.
Oh, no, they don't want school choice because it's going to put tremendous pressure on the system. And for your listeners that may not really understand that this is what school choice means here, is that right now money, state dollars that go into every school system is based on the number of kids in class or per capita. And we believe the money should follow the child. And if it is a failing school, and there are 200 to 250 miserably performing schools in Alabama, that would give a parent in that school, regardless of who they are, rich, poor, black, white, anybody, would have the ability to take part of that money that's earmarked for their child in that school in the form of a voucher or as some sort of a tax credit, and take that money and go to any other public school that has slots available, or go to any private school without any strings attached. None of this. You're going to make the private schools start doing all kind of crazy testing. Same with charter schools, and same with home schools, with no strings attached. And what that does is that creates this competition in every community. And it puts just a tremendous amount of pressure on an underperforming school to improve and to get their act together. It's very embarrassing if parents start pulling their kids out of some of these lousy schools and put them in and going to alternate places because they care about the kids' education. And this gives people, especially working class people who have in the past have not had the opportunity to put their kids in a private school and other ways of educating them.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Gubernatorial candidate Tim James. If people want to find out more about your campaign, how can they do that?
Well, our website's timjamesgovernor.com. I welcome your listeners. Join this crusade. This is a movement to take this great state back and get it back on track. And I'd love everyone listening to get involved with this campaign.
All right. I really appreciate you coming on the show today. We'll bring you on again in the future. Thank you so much.
Look forward to it. Have a good day.
You as well. So coming up next, we have our local news update with our news partners at Wade 31 TV. Some breaking news that they're looking at right now. We'll get to that in a moment. You're listening to the Yaffee Program.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.